Anniversary of George Floyd's death. Lessons learned. Hello, my friends. I'm Daniel Talley, the North to South Guy, and welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, my channel is not a political channel. Basically, what I do is that I present positive, inspiring, entertaining content, all which has a big message. But every now and then, I do like to tackle news and current events. And today happens to be the 1-year anniversary of the death of George Floyd. So I wanted to give you my 2 cents, if you will. Feel free to give me back my change because for some of you, this 2 cents won't be worth 2 cents. As I said, today we're going to talk about the George Floyd case and the lessons learned from it. Now, unless you've been living up under a rock, or perhaps you've been visiting the planet Mars or Venus and you haven't been around for the last year, you don't know what's going on. But let me clue you in real quick. Basically, a year ago, George Floyd goes into a Minneapolis local convenience store to make a purchase or two. He presented what was alleged to be a fake $20 bill. The cops were called, and when the cops were called, things got ugly. In that, George Floyd found himself on the ground with police officer Derek Chauvin's knee on his neck. Now, at the time that police officer Chauvin's knee was on his neck, George Floyd was no longer resisting arrest and pretty much was begging and pleading for his life. And unfortunately, what happened was this was the cause of George Floyd's death. In other words, the knee to the neck for over 9 minutes killed a man. His death ignited Black Lives Matter protests around the globe. And basically, people were protesting the police brutality against black and brown people. Now, let me be perfectly clear. There's nothing wrong with anybody protesting if they want to protest. But I have to be clear and say this. Protesting is fine, but as long as you do it peacefully. Nobody should be getting shot. There should be nobody tearing up somebody else's property. All that stuff it really, really hurts the cause. So, again, protesting is okay. Violent protests, not okay. For those of you who don't understand the Black Lives Matter movement, I think I can help you out. You see, I understand that it is difficult to understand something unless you live it or unless you experience it. It's no different than me trying to understand childbirth. Now listen here, I'm not a woman and I never will be a woman. So therefore, how can I really ever truly understand that? I'd have to go to a woman and have her to explain to me, what that pain is all about. And then maybe if I listen with an attentive ear, then just perhaps I can understand what it is that she's talking about. Well, what I can do is that I have created a couple of videos, and these videos are designed for you, the viewer, to experience life through the eyes of a black man. That black man being me, of course. So the videos that I created, there are 2 of them. They are both entitled Attention All White People Part 1 and Attention All White People Part 2. Now, don't let the titles throw you off, because I can promise you, people, both of these are messages of love. And if you watch them through their entirety, you will understand what it is I'm talking about. That love message will come out loud and clear, and you have a better understanding as to why black people or why people of color feel the way that they do with respect to the police. Justice was served for many as Officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of murdering George Floyd. But sadly, that didn't solve the problem. Hey, if you like the video, hit the like button. Don't forget to show me some love by hitting the subscribe button. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so the next time I do a video, you'll be notified. So what have we learned from the death of George Floyd? Sadly, not much. You see, police brutality has continued against the black and brown people in this country. Now, I want to be clear and say this. The vast majority of police are great police. They do a really good job. They got a tough job. They deserve our respect and admiration for doing that job. However, there are a few bad apples that are in their ranks. And the problem I have is that the good cops, the overwhelmingly good cops, tend to cover up or close their eyes to some of the bad things that the bad cops are doing. And when they do that, it makes them all look bad. And clearly, all cops are not bad. In fact, as I said before, most of them are good. And if there's any cops watching this episode today, let me just say to you, you took an oath to protect and to serve. I would strongly encourage you all to revisit that and recognize that if you have some bad cops that are within your midst, hey, sometimes you got to cross that blue line and get rid of them bad cops, because hey, they are the ones that are causing the problems. Division and civil unrest in this country continues. Unbelievably, some people believe that racism doesn't exist in this country. Senator Tim Scott, yes sir, I'm talking to you. It is unbelievable and shameful, sir, for you to get up there and say that racism does not exist in this country. I got news for you, sir. Aren't you the same guy who has complained on several occasions that you have been stopped by the police, basically racially profiled, essentially accused of driving while black? Now, if you've experienced that yourself firsthand, how can you say that there's no racism in this country? The notion of defunding the police to get rid of police officers is a false narrative. Why? Because we need the police. Defunding the police is a misnomer. All they really need is that we need to invest more time, money, and training in our police force. And we need to change the judicial system. If we do that, the police will be better equipped to not only protect the black and the brown, but to protect all of us. Because hey, we are all citizens. To all you elected officials in DC, I hope y'all listening. Go ahead and get that George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed. Stop farting around. God commands us to love our brothers. In fact, he tells us that numerous times in the Bible. You know, one day, you and we're all going to be judged for the things that we do on this earth. Racism and hatred are not one-way streets. Sadly, they are major highways. And you know, every single race is impacted by racism. Just look at all the violence that's going on against our Asian American brothers and sisters, as well as our Jewish community. Got a question for you. How many of you believe in a heaven or hell? Now, most people probably believe in some version of heaven and hell. But then the question then becomes, when you get to heaven, do you really think God's going to have a separation policy in heaven? No. Let me tell you something. God is the creator of diversity. Why did he make all of us look so different? If you look at the world and the things in it, everything looks different. He did that for a reason. And you know, if we would take the time to embrace our differences, we would learn the inner beauty that each one of us brings to the table. And I got news for you. When you really take the time to get to know people, you learn that people are not that dissimilar than you. You get to learn that, you know what? People are pretty cool, but you got to get to know them. America, we can do better. The world is watching. More importantly, God is watching. Take the time to love your brother and to love each other. Take care and God bless.